What's up, 50 folders? So you got the 50 folds ESOP model, and now you want to know how to actually use it. Well, we have a presentation which is very detailed for you to go through, but I know you'd love to see my lovely face and me actually take you through the glorious model. So stick with me right now, and we're going to go through it.
Ask Alex. Ask Alex. Because you don't know what you don't know. And if you don't know, now you know.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to take you through sheet by sheet as you'd find them if you open up the model, and just give you a high-level overview of what the sheet's about. The next thing that I'm going to do is take you through how to actually fill it in as if you had started. And then finally, we'll look at the sheets which you can use to review the output of your data. Make sense? Okay, let's do that right now. First sheet doesn't really matter. I have all this stuff to basically give you free stuff. You can just delete it all out if you want. And then just have a pretty presentation page here. Maybe delete my logo, however you want. Call it your company plan, or just make a simple cover sheet to make things look pretty. Now, the next sheet you're going to see is the intro sheet, or just the high-level guide. Now, this is going to tell you basically how you can kind of fill them, what the various sheets are, how the assumptions are kind of set out. Have a read before you do it. It'll help you to basically understand the model a little bit better. Or just watch me. Now, the next sheet is a formatting sheet. So the currency is set up in this model as dollars, as well, basically makes sense to use US dollars. Everyone understands them. If you don't really know why I'm saying this, or you don't really agree with me, I've actually written a blog about why you should use dollars in your startup, or maybe euros if you're German. But typically US dollars make sense, even if you're in Asia. Like, let's face it, VC's funds are actually denominated in dollars. When they have a fundraise, say in Singapore, they don't say it in Singapore dollars, they say, hey, we've raised a $50 million fund. But anyway, not going to nerd out too much on this. If you do, however, use another currency, I kind of figured out what the main ones people might want to have are. I have a macro or Excel plugin which you can download, which mainly only really works for PC because, well, Microsoft hates Apple. That's all I can say. You can get that, and it will literally, you just need to change in the drop-down menu what currency you're using, and it'll change the entire model to be formatted to what it is you want to do, which I think is pretty cool. And by the way, that was really freaking hard to figure out how to do. Next sheet, share summary. This is literally just a summary output, the high-level overview of what's going down in Funky Town at your startup over time. So you'll see that the diluted ESOP is 11% or 13% or whatever it is over time. You can see that for your first initial grant, you gave people 11%. You didn't do any promotion and performance in the first year. You did that in the second year. So you gave out 0.47% of the company in promotions, 0.97% in evergreen grants, top-up bonuses, etc., what the share price is, what the post-money valuations are. It's just a summary sheet. That's it. Don't have to touch anything with it. You just have to look at it and understand it. Staff value. So here is a fab way to be able to show staff what they're actually, what they're worth on paper from your company. So we'll see here what the current share staff value is, what their vested value is, and the initial grant and the additional grants that they have. So we could change this to some, I don't know, let's pick Dory Tinder, sounds fun. So you'll see the numbers change. Additional grants is a lot more. What the valuation is, current share value is less than the axes. Let's look at someone else. I don't know, Joella Coombs. Basically worth nothing. Obviously a very new person. All that matters is initial grant. They have no additional grants. But we'll just change it back to Megan Sampley for fun. Where are we? Okay, Megan Sampley, there we go. So that's how that sheet works. We'll come back to it later on. Pool sizing, here you're going to use, this is a handy tool to figure out how much you actually want to be giving away when you're fundraising. So VCs were going to ask for something, say 15% or whatever number, drop down menu, and this will help you figure out, on the basis of what you need to give away and how much you have, how much you should really be doing or not. Assumptions, okay. We're going to spend time on this because this is really important, and this makes your model really easy once you fill out everything properly. So lots of assumptions that we'll go through, but these drive everything. And this is basically the structure of your ESOP. Then we have financing assumptions. The reason why you need these is because they're going to set the exercise price, the price per share that the staff are going to get when you're going to grant them their options. Now, this is a simplistic version of a cap table. I made it to make life easier for you. If you have more complicated things, I recommend getting my cap table. If you're a bigger company, definitely pay and get the pro version and use those numbers then and input them here and just make sure those prices are working, right? All you really want to care about is that price per share for the exercise price. But this will help you figure out the total number of outstanding shares, etc. All this stuff down here doesn't matter, it's just calculations to help these numbers make sense. Staff data, right. It's the first sheet you're going to want to fill in, and that's by putting in the names, the titles, country, department, whatever, the seniority, the level, first grant. And if you fire them here, okay, not anywhere else. Most important ones that you have to put in is their name. You need to put in the seniority, the level, and when you first grant them. Like, you have to fill those in. Other ones you can fill in. I recommend filling everything in, but you have to fill in those ones for this model to work, okay? ESOP, okay? So this is going to be basically your starting point, right? So when you're first creating the program, this is what you're going to be doing. We can see that the model has smartly, there's a load of people here. It's only picked the people that need to be in this model for this point of period of time. Okay, this first grant date, etc., helps categorize people and set them out properly. All this stuff is linked to this sheet. The only thing that you need to fill in is the salary market rate for things to work. Now, these sheets are almost exactly the same. All right, the setup almost exactly the same. It's only year one, which is really different to the other year one and year two. Year one is the only one that's different to all the other sheets. Okay, so people are automatically populated in for you. You'll see the drop-down menus and the little yellow boxes where you need to type things in. These higher notes things are things I made to just try and help it make it more sense for you. You can see all these crazy-ass formulas, right, to tell you stuff that you need to do. But it's just trying to help you make sure that you fill things in properly. The model works. If something doesn't work, it's because you didn't do something properly, okay? So if you methodically just fill everything in, do what you're told, it'll work. Has a little fancy graphic up here, which just tells you for the new hires, promotions, performance, evergreens, and then the total, you know, how much is happening in that year. Now, the sheets, other sheets are exactly the same, with the exception that we have evergreen grants now, okay, which is starting in effectively ESOP year 2. Otherwise, everything is exactly the same for all of these sheets, right? Then I have this grant guidance sheet, which is basically a cry for help. I made this because there's no fucking data around. And you're going to ask me, hey Alex, how much should I be granting someone to be finance director or something? And I'm like, I don't fucking know. People don't share this data. So I made this structured sheet from C to Series B, with a little seed extension in here. And I hope if you have the data, you'll be so kind to put in what your numbers actually are on average for these roles at the stages where you are. And then you can send them to me. I'm going to aggregate them and I'll make a report so that everyone actually has some fucking numbers for once, because it drives me nuts that there aren't numbers to help you guys out. It's infuriating. And then the final sheet is this long ass calculations things where there are dragons. Here be dragons, haha. I amuse myself in sad ways. And there's just like a dick ton of calculations, okay? You do not need to even look at the sheet if you don't want to. If you're a nerd, you want to know how things work, you want to know, like, does Alex know how to do math good? Feel free to go have a play and understand how things are working. If something doesn't look like it makes sense, get into these calculations and go have a play. Now, let's start out now, assuming that you just get this model and you want to fill it out. I typically provide this model with the numbers filled in because you know exactly what should be in there. So have a play and then you can delete the numbers or you can use the blank version, but start out with the filled in version so you can actually see what it kind of looks like. It just will really help you to get your head around this. It is complicated, but it's also pretty simple. Like, it's really simple to me now because I understand it. But when you first look at this, don't stress out. Yeah, it's complicated, okay? So the first thing that you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna set up the structure for your ESOP program. Now, what I have in here, you could not actually touch it at all. Leave it as it is, except for your ESOP start date, I think, and your shares here and the price per share, and it would probably be pretty okay, right? You, of course, don't want to just do my template, you want to look at it from yourselves. So the first thing you want to do is decide on the base of which you're going to do equity grants and things. If you don't understand these things, then you need to watch the last video, which takes you through the high level to understand what these are, which I've already done, okay? So you have the drop-down menus here, toggle 1, toggle 2. Is it the salary or is it the market rate, which is going to be the basis for your plan? I think market salary makes more sense, but you decide how, you want to structure it up. So what is the cliff for all grants? Okay, you can do loads if you want, and that's just do it because I don't know, people want to be cray-cray. But 1 year, right? That's just all you should do. 0 is not normal. 2 is not normal. It's actually unfair, to be honest. It's kind of a dick move. Just leave it as 1. I just really wouldn't do otherwise. Everyone knows that it's 1, or people who know what they're talking about anyway. ESOP start date is important. That's the date when you're starting your ESOP, and then every additional year will come from that. So the date that you'll be, ideally be granting people the new performance grants, etc., will be 1st of June, 17, 19, 18, 19, 20, whatever, okay? So set the date that you're actually starting your ESOP structure now, okay? That's an important assumption. Here, it tells you what the current date is. You don't need to do anything. It just tells you that this is the date today. This is a really simple formula which says equals today. You can change this and put a date in the future, like, I don't know, call it 21st of December 2020, right? You can see your current share price has changed because you do whatever, like you fundraise in the future or something. But make sure you put it back to what it is, because the model is all about like what is happening today, how much people actually invested, what is it actually worth or something, okay? Share price is based off that date. So it's only useful if you want to kind of look in the future and see what things will potentially look like for people. All right, the next thing that you're going to be doing is setting this, the structure of how you're going to pay people, okay? This is really important for the staff. So for just general can kickers, who gives a shit, we give them 20% of salary. They're lucky to have it, whoop whoop. Key people, whatever, like more lead developer or something, maybe we give them 30% of salary. Sub VP level, 35, 50, 70. You pick your numbers, right? Typically, more senior you are, probably the more that they should get. I have this automated formatting, so it says 70% of salary here, but look, I just typed in 70%. So you could decide that you want to pay management 150% of salary. You don't have to type 100% of salary, you type in 150, and boom, bitches, it says 150% of salary. Same thing here, you're going to 75, 75. Whoop, whoop, right? Easy. Now, are you going to incentivize people for the pain of managing people? You decide. If you don't give a shit, then you just type in 100%. So 100%, or you just drag it down, right? 100%, right? Managing people is overrated. But you could decide it's really important, in which case maybe you say it's 200% of the amount. What it is, it's 200% or 2 times their seniority. So if it's 70% of salary and they have management, they end up getting 140% of salary. So it's twice the amount, okay? So this is a multiplier of this amount. The next thing you want to do, vesting for all the initial grants, promotion grants, performance grants, okay? You want to sequentially stack these out. Again, if you don't understand what that means, look at the previous video where I talk about this. I recommend 4 years for all of these, okay? Drop down menu, you can change to something else if you want. Just use 4, it's easier, okay? For the performance grant, you want to decide the amount of salary, the incentive that you're going to give them. 50% I think makes sense, you can pick on your number. Evergreen grants, again, drop down menu or just leave it as 4. Pick what percentage of salary is. Again, if you want to go 50, just type in 50, simple. I've automatically formatted it so it has this of salary thing. Right, other key assumptions, people probably get confused in this, but it's actually really basic. How many shares do you actually have, right, when you start your program? If you have an ESOP before your first financing, so you want to increase your issued net outstanding already, add those in, but it's basically how many shares you have now, right? This is a starting point. When you raise more money, you have more shares or you issue more options, etc. to people, you need to know how much you have, okay? So make sure you fill these numbers in properly. And what is your price per share currently? If you don't know, ask your lawyer, right? You just need to look at your incorporation docs typically, or depending when you're starting this, if you're a later stage company, probably lost 409A, okay? So once you fill that in, you want to go to staff data, okay? So without this stuff in here, it's going to look like this. All right, nothing. So you type in Alexander Jarvis. I'm CEO, bitch. I live in London. I'm the Department of Management or Magical Affairs. My seniority is that I'm a management. My level is a management. My first grant date is, I don't know, whatever today, whatever that date is. And you're going to fire me in the future, so that's going to be, I don't know, 1st of January 2029. Alright, nah, boom, I'm fired, bitches. But that's literally what you need to do, right? As you hire someone else, you're going to hire, I don't know, Mark Z. I'm CEO bitch because I'm getting fired, ha ha ha. He lives wherever, you don't have to fill these in if you don't want to, but anyway. See something is key role department head, and he's going to be granted in 27th of February 2020. Oh look, 2019, 2020, it's automatically filled in properly. So it's really that simple to fill it in, right? That's all you need to do to fill in this sheet. But make sure every single time someone is entering this program, you add them in, okay? Ideally do it sequentially because then it looks all pretty like this, 26, 17, 18, 19, and yeah. So you can hire up to 159 people or something like that, 150 people, something like that. If you need to add more, you can. I just think 150 is enough for this model. And if you have more than that, you can either pay me to fix it for you or you're using something else anyway. So make sure you put these all in. We've done, so we did the assumption sheet first. You put in the people. Now you want to be thinking about how much you're paying everyone. So Megan Sampley is the CTO. She's getting paid 150K, but the market rate is 200K. So you can type in whatever you want, Michaela or something. Base salary is 50,000. Market rate is actually 75,000. Or do you know, maybe you just want to deal with the market stuff and we're just going to use salary. You don't put in the market stuff at all. You go to the assumption sheet. And your calculations are based on toggle 1, which is salary. In which case, you don't even need to put in the market stuff anymore, right? For our purposes, we're going to use the market rate because it's more complicated. I'm going to make sure that you do everything right. So we put those numbers in for the starting ESOP, and so we know that Megan's got 196K worth of grant. So you would tell Megan, hey Megan, congratulations, we just gave you $196,000 worth of shares. The price per share that she gets is 1 because at the bottom here, you set the price per share for her exercise is 1. She gets 196,000 shares because basically grant divided by price per share is, the same. That means that you've given her about 3%, whereas Dory the monkey, or Anita Flickinger, office manager, she's getting 0.215%. So she's getting, hey Arnita, you're getting 14,000 bucks worth of shares. And she's fucking me, her salary is actually pretty high, but anyway, 14,000K. So that's gonna be the first year, that's gonna be starting, right? The first people. Now things are gonna start getting more complicated. So we're gonna go to the next year of the ESOP. And we'll say, right, Megan's been doing, well, she's been doing okay. Well, whereas Michaela did well, she's gonna get a performance grant this year. She's actually already a manager, so she's staying at that rate. The grant date for this, and in this sheet, should always be the same number. It's going to be the 1st of December 2017. The hiring note says input grant date. Her salary is, who were we talking about here again? Michaela. Michaela, before we said that her salary was 50 and then 75 market. In this, Michaela, the new salary is 80 and the market rate is 90. So since we're using the toggle of market rate here, toggle 2, right? We know that the difference between what she had before and what she has now is going to be the additional amount that she's going to be getting, right? So we can say because she's a top performer performance, she's getting 44,000 bucks worth of shares. Nice. Which is 57,000 shares of that new grant, it's basically 57,000 shares, which is basically 0.006% of the diluted number of shares. So her total issued amount is currently 1.309. So we could say, actually, do you know what? We talked to Megan. She did a good job. We're both going to give her a promotion. Yes. Right? So, see, suddenly everything changed. Well, she's already a manager. If she's already a manager, Blue says I need to put the grant date, which is going to be the same thing as this thing here. I can copy and paste that. Salary, whatever. She's getting paid what she was before, whatever. So that promotion grant is worth 49,000 bucks. She's getting 63,000 of the shares, which means that her total amount is 2.572% now. Now let's pick someone random here. Irvin, he's an intern. He's a lowly person. He is kicking ass. So he's getting promoted. He's getting performance grant because he's a top performer. His prior seniority was all others, meaning he's a shit can kicker. But now he's getting a key role. He was entry before. Now he is going to be a team manager, given people to manage. His grant date is the same as everyone, which is going to be the same date for the board approval. Grant date, yep, we did that. Salary-wise, we're going to give him 95,000. The market rate actually for a key role is 110,000. So we can see here his initial rate was whatever, but he's got promotion of 25k. He's got a performance grant of 20-ish k. The new grant's worth about 45. Previous was 14. The total is 73,000 now, mainly from the new stuff. That means there's up at now 0.717%. So if we undid this, right? Whoopsies. We can see that. Where is he? Irvin, the former intern, would only be at 0.14%. So he went up to 0.7%, which is a big difference, right? So it's that easy to literally just, promote people, give them performance grants, change the seniority, the levels when it happens. And there's literally no calculations for you to do. It's ridiculously simple if you understand the basics, right? I can't possibly make this any easier for you. And then the summaries up here, the total issued amounts, the total grants, what the performance grants for that years are here. They feed into here, so you've got this little pretty thing showing you what happened this year. Now, there's no evergreen because it doesn't happen in the first year. It happens in ESOP year 2. Now, this sheet is exactly the same before, except because the company's older, we are now giving them evergreen grants. So we can see all these people have them. Let's just pick someone else who doesn't have one so you can see what's happening here. So, I don't know, we'll pick Murta, knowledge engineer, who's based in Singapore, does engineering. Okay, she already has one. So Dolores Fluker, basically key role, but sort of junior person. She's not really been getting anything. So you see everything's 0, right? So let's decide that, well, she's not great, but we're going to keep her. So we decide that she's getting an evergreen grant, like everyone should. And we can see suddenly the blue things popped up, right? So change that back to 0. Right, gone, boom, yes, okay, now you need to fill in. So give an evergreen grant. You're gonna have to put the same grant date as everyone else, right? So we did that. So some numbers popped up quickly. That's the price per share. Salary, market salary, they're not changed because it's just evergreen. It is what it is, but we can see for our evergreen box here, for that, on the basis of her market salary, she's getting 7.5 grand worth of stock, which on the price per share of 2, means she's getting about 3.7-ish thousand shares. The new issued amount is actually kind of a rounding error, but she's at now 3.323% now. So again, just like we did before, promotions, performance, evergreen. You can set the seniority or the change in level. That's just a negotiation you have with them, or one negotiation you tell them. Put in the grant date. If you change the salary or the market salary changes, and everything's done for you. And then literally 3, 4, 5, all exactly the same. Everyone is populated in the point at which they should, right? So you can see there's less people here, more people here. Who you need to deal with from the staff sheet, right, is decided all by the model. Everything is done. And there are no calculations at all for you to do. You just need to fill in those things, right? Here, fill in if you can. If you don't have the numbers, don't worry about it. It'd just be nice if there's data in the world. So that's literally what you need to do. right? And then you have numbers. Why don't we deal with staff value now? Okay, so we decided Megan wants to know how much are my shares worth. Say, okay, Megan, I've printed off this nice little sheet for you, send it to her, whatever. The current value of your shares is so staff value is $579,000. Boom. That's pretty good, right? But Megan, don't leave. Think about it. If you stayed and the company was worth more over time, you could be somewhere up here, right? So you could be doing $3 million if we sold the company for $218 million, which is nothing, right? Anyway, but we can pick someone else, right? We'll say, I don't know, Cami Riviera, right? Megan is way more senior than her, so you can see that the current value of her shares is 110K. And if she stayed, you're talking more like $500,000. But with this additional grants, she could be getting up to 1.5 if she stayed around a while invested, okay? But since this doesn't look so attractive, we're going to decide that valuation is starting at 1. The valuation step is going to be 1. And so suddenly those numbers start to look a little bit higher for her, right? So you can use this value step and what the starting valuation is to change the axes on the graph for it. All right. Otherwise, right now it's going up in 5 million or $5 million steps to these valuations. So that's literally all you need to do if you want to change around the graphs. But otherwise, just pick the drop-down menu, Annabelle Norton, naughty, and then you've got a chart for Annabelle, all formatted really nice, fancy pants. Cool. So share summary, I talked about before, it's not really much to it. You can see how much is going out of your equity pool every year for these programs by what you're giving out to people. Not very much to that. So pool sizing is something I made for you to try and make this easier. So let's say in this year, 2016, VC is asking for 25%. You go to the drop-down menu, you go down, and you turn this to 25%. All right, that means that that on the basis of how your current ESOP plan is, you'll need to add in 15% more than the amount that you had already planned. So we can see that on average, we want to be somewhere around here. We'd have to add, if we're at 15%, we'd have to add 5% more. But really, 25% is just way more than we actually really need. It's ridiculous. We only really need about 5% more. We should tell the VC to go fuck themselves, right? But this can help you think on year by year, depending on how much they want you to do, how much you need to add or remove to your plan in order to hit those numbers and figure out, do those numbers make sense to you? Talked about the assumptions financing. So what is the target ESOP pool that you need to make that year? You put in the exact amount, and that tells you how big the ESOP pool is going to be for that. So you've got enough to play with. What is the name of the event that you're doing? When did the date close? And it's going to be for the valuation, for the exercise prices. Pre-money plus the investment equals your post-money. If you've got convertible notes, they can convert, and that'll change that and tell you what the number of shares you have, what the impact is on your option pools, the number of new EIP or ESOP shares that you're going to be having here, employment investment program, whatever. Conversion note methods, if you have convertible notes, it's a pre-money, post-money, dollar investment method, whatever. It tells you the price per share that that your employees will be getting at the point. Here are drop-down menus, don't need to touch them, it powers that. Here are formulas, don't touch them. Well, there we go. That's how easy the model is. I know there's a little bit to learn, but if you put the things in, or if you do what I tell you to do, it's actually incredibly powerful for the amount of work that you need to put in. So go do it. I'm sure you're going to love it. I'm sure you're going to staff are going to love it. All right, keep hustling, guys.